today? The 9th or the 8th?
9.
Hello, good afternoon. Today is Tuesday, the 9th of June. Normally we do this on Wednesday, but since we'll be doing Mass at 8 o'clock in the morning tomorrow, we decided to do this today. I'm going to speak a little bit about some of the changes and ideas, so I'll let Bishop Wcela go first today.
I'm going to say something about a feast we're celebrating on Sunday, the Feast of Corpus Christi. Actually, the day is June 11th, which would be Thursday, but we transfer it to Sunday. The feast goes back to the 1300s. There was a nun in Belgium, Saint Juliana, who had great devotion to the Blessed Sacrament, and she had a friend who was a bishop, and she also passed on her devotion to him. And of course, it got even better when her bishop friend became the Pope, and he decided as Pope also to kind of press the devotion. So devotion to adoring Jesus Christ, the real presence of Christ in the Blessed Sacrament, goes back to the early 1300s, after it began to spread throughout Europe. The special office, that is the special prayers that are read that day by priests and deacons and a lot of religious, they're important, and they're also very beautiful. They're written by St. Thomas Aquinas. Two of the hymns that we sing all the time, the Tantum Ergo and O Salutaris, both written by St. Thomas Aquinas, of course, who was one of the great brains, one of the great minds of the 13th century. The strange thing for us is that the devotion is to Jesus, adoring Jesus as he's presented in the monstrance, the blessed host, the consecrated host, as it's presented in the monstrance. Now for us, I think if you'd ask any one of us, where's the way that we see Jesus coming to our lives most, we would say by receiving him in Holy Communion. That's why it's difficult, as we're going through this pandemic, for so many people to not be able to receive the Eucharist, to receive Holy Communion. Even if we have Mass in church, we're still not giving out Holy Communion. And if people watch it on YouTube or whatever, it's not receiving Holy Communion. But in those days, the idea was you received communion very seldom. It really isn't until the time of Pope St. Pius X, that is the early part of the 1900s, that the whole idea of receiving the Eucharist, receiving Jesus in Holy Communion, becomes much more important. Pius X had been a bishop, and as a bishop he had tried to encourage and foster the whole idea of receiving Holy Communion frequently. So when he became a pope, then he made it a prime issue in his papacy. He first of all encouraged people who had received communion maybe 3 or 4 times a year to receive communion regularly, and where it had been the custom that children received Holy Communion somewhere between the ages of 12 and 14. Pius said that if they could distinguish between plain bread, regular bread, and the Eucharistic bread, that they could receive Holy Communion. So they began receiving communion at the age of 7. And of course, that changed the whole culture. Think of what it is today to have all the First Communion kids, the boys in their suits and the girls in their white dresses and the processions and all the family parties and so on. So that there was a whole change in culture because of what Pius did. So that's the first part of just thinking about the change that took place in adoration of the Blessed Sacrament, not just in standing in awe of the consecrated host in a monstrance, but receiving the Lord in Holy Communion.
Okay, so what's going to be happening? There's going to be changes now, as you probably heard. The governor has allowed Long Island to have worship services starting tomorrow, Wednesday, with 25% capacity. We were already set to have 10% capacity, or actually 10 people, and we started that way. So the whole church was taped off, roped off to allow 10 people. We're going to have to redo that for this weekend to allow close to 140 people. We have to make the markings on the pews and the aisles so people can follow that. The schedule of Mass will remain the same in English for now. We're going to try On Sunday morning, the same, 7, 9, and 11. On Saturday, we're going to start at 4:30, a little bit earlier, because we have to clean up in between, because we're doing a Mass in Spanish on Saturday night, because we have to try to get 3 Masses in Spanish, because to get 700 people, even at 25%, it's not going to fit in 1 or 2 Masses. So we have to spread it out. And they're going to get tickets, color-coded tickets, to come to a particular Mass. Still, Eucharist is not allowed in our diocese. The bishop has not allowed it. You might have heard that some churches are doing that illegally, according to what the bishop said. So we don't want to get in trouble. We're not going to be doing that. Also, the safety protocols of how to do that have not been implemented yet. When it does happen, we already have large plastic shields that holes will be cut in for people to put their hand through to receive the Eucharist. So we're set to do that. We already bought, a month ago, the cleaning equipment to disinfect the seats and the pews in church, and the special cloths used to do that. So we're kind of set with that kind of stuff. The live streaming. We're going to continue the live streaming every day at our normal Mass time. So Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 8 o'clock in the morning. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, 8 o'clock in the morning, Mass will be live streamed. Friday and Tuesday at 12:10. This week, though, the Friday Mass will be at 12. But starting next week, regular time. Saturday, Sunday, 1 Mass in English will be televised, 1 Mass in Spanish, and then it will be on YouTube and Facebook, and I think Instagram.
We're working on Instagram.
Work on Instagram too. So you'll be able to see that on Sunday if you want, or on Saturday night. We can continue that. This wonderful chat, we're not going to continue each week. Occasionally we will do something. If Bishop Wcela gets the urge to tap dance, we'll do a special thing on that. If I get the urge that I want to eat again and cook a meal, as you can tell, I've been eating well. We might do that again. We also will be doing some new things. Some of the staff might be teaching or doing a class. We've already used Zoom with the religious formation program, with the youth ministry, and some other events. So we're going to try and do all that. What I ask you, I'm going to ask you 3 things. The first, be safe. Take precautions. If you're coming to church, you're going to get a letter. We're mailing it out today, and hopefully by this afternoon they'll all be done. That's like 1,800 mailings we're sending out. Wear a mask. Keep space. And if everybody wants to come to the 5 o'clock Mass, you're going to be turned away. Just so you know. We have to do that by law. So when the numbers reach, the door will be locked. You cannot come in. I'm asking you to stay home the first couple of weeks. If you're sick, if you have a compromised immune system, if you have certain conditions which you know about, diabetes, heart condition, lung condition, a blood disease, any of that stuff, it's dangerous. And if you're over a certain age, I'm not going to say that age because you have to decide what age that is, because I'm over that age already. So that's part of it. Stay home if you can. We're also asking you not to come with little children unless they can sit on your lap and not move around, because they must stay in the sections they belong in. So that's real important. That might mean you may have to pick 1 Mass for one go, 1 Mass for another go. But this is going to be for a couple of weeks until we get this figured out. We still will not be giving out the Eucharist, just so that you know that. Now, we would like your input. We're going to live stream on Saturday and Sunday, and we can either do the same Mass all the time or different Masses all the time. We would love you to, however you do that, because I don't do this, however you comment back. What Mass would you want streamed? You know, does it matter? And that's kind of it. I think that's about it. Confessions, you can always call, make an appointment. The confessional itself will not be being used. We're going to set a space up in behind the altar. We have a much bigger space. So we'll set space up there to celebrate the sacrament of penance, or in the rectory we have a special place to do it, or outside where we do the benches. We still will visit you in your home if there's a problem, if you have an emergency situation, sacrament of sick, anything like that. We're doing funerals, weddings, all that's being done, and you could have like 100 people come to it now. Before it was just 10. So a lot of changes are happening very fast, very quick. We thought it would come more gradually, but we were surprised. And my guess is at this point, the way things are moving, probably by the end of July, it'll be even more open. So we have to wait and see. But thank you for your understanding, your patience, your support, and I'm thanking you ahead of time for your cooperation as we open up a little bit more this weekend.
So the question is, does the number 140 include staff and...
It includes everyone in church. 140 people, not counting the celebrant.
No.
Okay. Again, I'm talking about the Feast of Corpus Christi. The official title in English is the Most Sacred Body and Blood of Jesus Christ. Actually, this is a big day. In 16 countries in the world, June 11th, the Thursday, is a national holiday, and it's celebrated with great processions. I'll just talk about one of them, which is in Toledo, Spain, where for weeks ahead of time they get ready. They prepare the streets, they put banners and they put garlands and all kinds of decorations on the streets. And then on the actual day of the celebration, they put different nice smelling grasses and herbs on the ground, so as the procession comes through. And on that day, people hang out pennants and all kinds of tapestries. So many of them ancient. They've been doing this for centuries. So they've saved these things not just for a few years, but for couple of hundred years. So in Toledo, Spain, it's a very elaborate procession, as it is in other countries. Then the Blessed Sacrament comes, and usually it's carried on. I hate to call it this, but we call it in a parade. We'd call it a float. One of a cart that has all kinds of structures on it, and then there's a monstrance up on the top with the Blessed Sacrament in it. And behind that, then come the people who belong to different religious associations. And in a lot of countries, people who belong to special societies, religious societies, they wear different kind of clothes. So the procession is very colorful. In our country, it's much more simple. Usually, or I shouldn't say usually, but in many places, there's always some kind of procession. Maybe it'll be just around the church. In some places, it's a procession that goes around the streets or around the parking lot. And usually it'll be set up 3 altars at 3 different places where the procession stops, a special blessing is given, and then the procession moves on. There are 4 cities in the world that are named Corpus Christi. Of course, one is here in Texas. One is in Panama, one is in Paraguay, and one is in Mexico. And the city in our own Texas, it was in 1519, a Spanish explorer found it. He found this, what was this lovely bay that was going to develop into the city. And it was on June 11th. So he named it Corpus Christi, and the name stuck as the city eventually developed, the name stuck with it. So Corpus Christi, the body and blood of Christ, the celebration, has still a lot of meaning. It's been around for a long time, celebrated in big ways in a lot of different countries.
And that's pretty much it. Have a great and wonderful day. We'll see you either in church or back on live stream.
Yes, let's hope.
God bless.